Okay, I think we are going to get started with this afternoon's session. So welcome everyone to the virtual day of the NC Live Annual Conference. We're excited to have you join us online. You are in Beyond the Card, How a Month-Long Initiative Strengthened Community Connections. If you're looking for a different virtual session, you can find the Zoom link in Sched or on the conference website. My name is Trina Rushing, and I am the moderator for this session. I do want to share a few things before we begin. At NC Live events, we do value the presence and active participation of all attendees. By joining us, you are agreeing to uphold the principles of the Code of Conduct, which can be found on NC Live's website, as well as a link will be added in the chat. In the interest of time, we will save Q&A for the end of the presentation. But if you do have a question, you may put it in the Q&A box, which can be found in your Zoom toolbar at the bottom of the screen. I will be monitoring the Q&A and the chat in case anyone needs any assistance. Please make sure that you stay muted during this presentation. The session is also being recorded, and the presenter slides will be posted after the conference if you'd like to access them later. Now, I'm pleased to introduce Caroline Clucas. Caroline Clucas is the Outreach and Community Engagement Coordinator for the Orange County Public Library. Caroline graduated early from Appalachian State University in 2019 with a BA in English Literary Studies and History. While awaiting the start of her graduate program, she worked as a children's librarian assistant in her hometown of Goldsboro, North Carolina. What began as a temporary job quickly turned into a passion for libraries and community engagement. Now based in the Triangle, Caroline coordinates engaging adult programming, builds community relationships, expands the library's communications and social media presence, and broadens its reach through strategic outreach. Though she misses leading story time, she finds joy in connecting the library with the community. Welcome, Caroline.
Thanks so much, Trina, and hello to everybody. I so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, especially after, I'm sure, a jam-packed day of listening to other exciting sessions. Today, I'm excited to share how we turned ALA's National Library Card Sign-Up Month into something much bigger, a platform for connection, creativity, and lasting impact. Trina, is there anything else I need to go over before we get started?
I don't believe so. You think you're all set?
Okay, awesome. So just a quick introduction. In my role, as Trina had mentioned, I focus on building relationships between the library and the community. With this, I juggle many hats, as I'm sure many of you do as well, supervising the Adult Services Division, leading outreach efforts, growing partnerships, overseeing marketing and communications, and lots of other things in between. My coworker, Terry, came to me with the idea that we should do more for National Library Card Sign-Up Month this past year. She shared with me the ideas that they had done in the past. I wasn't really sure as this was my first year here. And that planted the seed in my brain that really expanded and grew. Today, I'll walk you through how we reimagined National Library Card Sign-Up Month and how it led to long-term results, both for our patrons and our staff. First, though, I'd like to take a minute to engage with you all and reflect on your own experience as to why you got a library card. So you can either join by scanning the QR code with your smartphone, or if you want to join on your browser, all you need to do is go to menti.com and then use that code that's on the slide. And if you have any issues, let me know. I'm going to present right here. And then when you get to Menti, you should see a question that says, think back to the first time you got a library card. Why did you get it? What do you remember about that experience? Let me see if I can go back to the QR code just in case I exited out too quickly. All right, let's see what we got. So someone said, I checked out a VHS, The Gushy Librarians, as a small child, being excited about the possibility of so many books, wanting books about ballet, all the books that you can check out, liking to read. I got a card as a kid. I loved books, and my grandmother took me to get my very own card. It was magical. As a college student, getting a card at my new local library, books, story time, super exciting. Local history, birthday treat for a library loving 5-year-old, excited about checking out books. Wow. I was a little kid who was homeschooled and loved books, VHS tapes. That seems to be actually a pattern. Um, Books on writing. This answer was, we were in a rural area and my grandmother made sure that we took part of the bookmobile that came around to our multi-generational home. I've had a library card and it made me want to be a librarian. And then I wanted all the spooky books. Relatable. Wow. So I think this is a great exercise because it reminds us why a lot of our patrons come in to get a library card and why we do National Library Card Sign Up Month in the first place. It's really to engage all sorts of patrons. If you're a child, maybe you're an adult or in college, the library can, I think, give us access to so many unique things, including VHS tapes, spooky books, all of the things. And this is just, I don't know, an important moment to reflect on why you got a library card. For me, I spent a lot of time with my grandma. Her name is Nanny. She's my best friend. And she took me to the library every summer. And I remember getting a library card and getting so excited to sign my name on the card. I thought it was so grown up and so cool for doing that. But I really appreciate her taking the time to take me to the library and really get my love of reading going. So I'm super appreciative of that. Thanks for engaging, everybody. I appreciate it. All right, so moving forward, before we get into the details of the campaign itself, I'd like to give a brief history about ALA's Library Card Sign Up Month and what it is for those of us who may not know. So Library Card Sign Up Month has been around since 1987 when the American Library Association launched it in response to then Secretary of Education William Bennett, who called for a national campaign to combat illiteracy. The idea was simple but powerful. Every child should have a library card and use it. While it started with a focus on youth literacy and education, over the years it has evolved into something much broader. Today, it's an opportunity for libraries to highlight the full range of services we offer for all ages and to remind our communities just how much a library card unlocks. And then this was the campaign last year, and then this is the first campaign that ALA ever did. So with that in mind, we stepped back and asked, what could this campaign really look like if we centered it on people, connection, and community engagement? What can we do that is different or more expansive than what has been done before? Instead of focusing solely on library card numbers, we set out to make the campaign meaningful, measurable, and collaborative, both externally and internally. So our goals were to engage the community in a visible and genuine way. I wanted people to see the library in new places, not just our buildings, but their favorite coffee shop, gym, or brewery, meeting the community where they are. I wanted to create measurable impact. Plus, I wanted to track how our engagement translated into new library card signups, partnerships, and social media growth. Again, this was my first year, and so I wanted to track how much impact we were having in that month compared to the past year and years beforehand. I wanted to build new partnerships. So that means connecting with businesses and organizations we hadn't tapped into before, especially ones that might not traditionally think of themselves as library adjacent. And to unify the library staff in a shared mission. We wanted every department from children's to circulation to admin to feel like they were being part of the celebration. Because when staff feel connected to the campaign, I feel like patrons can feel that energy too. Similarly to when I was planning story time. And if I wasn't excited about the story I was reading, a lot of the times the kids are not excited either. So similar mindset. But I wanted to do something that made the library feel more present, more personal, and more responsive to the community around us. So, one of the most impactful parts of this campaign was how it opened the door to new community partnerships. We connected with over 10 local businesses, many of whom we'd never collaborated with before, and invited them to participate in a really simple way. Offer something small, like a discount or a free item, to anyone who showed their library card. I really, to be honest with you all, had zero expectations. Whatever the business wanted to offer, I would be super appreciative. And it was interesting because a lot of the businesses we got to partner with on this campaign did not initially respond to us via email or phone. My coworker and I actually walked in downtown Hillsborough and essentially knocked on their door. We had a face-to-face conversation about National Library Card sign up month. They asked questions about the library, and we were just able to have a face-to-face conversation, and it made a huge difference. So in return, we promoted their business and our marketing materials and social media posts. So in a way, this created a win-win. Patrons were excited to use their cards in the community, and businesses were excited to support something meaningful and community-centered. It helped reposition the library not just as a place for books or programs, but as a hub for the community. We also partnered with a local artist, and you'll see their art actually in this slide. Their name is Elle Pierre, and they're also a children's illustrator. But Elle actually reached out to us because they saw our campaign on social media and wanted to offer their support through art. I did not plan this in any way. This happened organically. Elle DM'd the library's Instagram account, and they were just like, hey, I would love to integrate my art into this. How can I help? And turns out created posters for us and different bookmarks, and it was amazing. This, again, was not planned at all, but gave us a really unique approach to community engagement. So this is the brochure that we passed out at the library, at outreach events, and posted on our social media pages. This list actually expanded as time went on, so you'll notice there's different businesses and what they were offering. And it doesn't even include all the businesses I had to add on as the month went on, which was really awesome. But we also, in addition to showing what they were offering, if patrons show their library cards at that business, we integrated ALA's marketing into this brochure. And this was just the inside of the brochure. So let me show you guys the front. Yeah, and so it just talked about ways to win, a little bit of National Library Card sign up month, how to visit us, contact us. And again, we just pass this everywhere. And I want to add also, this was created in Canva and printed in-house. So you do not need anything fancy for your marketing items or handouts. So once we had strong community partnerships in place, the next step was asking, how can we physically get into more spaces? This is where the phrase I picked up at an ALA conference came in: have wagon, will travel. We completely shifted our mindset around outreach. I have a mobile wagon and packed it with library card sign-up forms, swag like bookmarks and stickers, flyers and activities. I will also have to say, you will notice in parentheses, I put stickers, stickers, and more stickers. I cannot emphasize more to you guys how popular stickers have been in terms of library swag. People of all ages love stickers. And great thing about stickers too is they're very packable. So I just bring my wagon. It's in my car right now with all of my outreach stuff. And then if I go to a specific outreach event, say this month, I'll bring the relevant resources with me. But everything swag related is already in my wagon, ready to go. So one of our biggest wins, I guess, coming out of National Library Card Sign-Up Month and the partnerships that we built, we actually were able to build monthly outreach opportunities with 3 locations: Orange County Sportsplex, the Passmore Senior Center, and Eno River Brewing. So I would go once places, and I would essentially just set up a table. Sometimes I'll see regulars and they'll say, hey, Caroline, the pop-up librarian. And then sometimes I'll get to meet new people. And that gave us a whole different age range that I was reaching. And this happened every month. So that came out of National Library Card Sign Up Month. Here is a picture of some of the stickers that I bring with me. They have been super popular. A lot of the stickers I designed kind of selfishly. I was thinking of this type of stickers I would want on my water bottle. I'll show you guys right here. I have axolotl stickers on my water bottle, or on my laptop, and they have been so popular. Again, I designed these using Canva. You do not need anything fancy to design stickers or magnets. And I don't have a background in marketing or graphic design. I just love doing this sort of thing, I guess, and being creative. And it is very receptive in our community too. Often people will see it and then come by the library or call and be like, hey, I really want that axolotl sticker or that friendship bracelet sticker. And so that's a way of just promoting the library in a unique and engaging way. I also want to mention I recommend using Vistaprint or Sticker Invasion to print out stickers. Those have been pretty good for us so far. But yeah, just design in Canva and then you can print out using those two businesses. All right, moving forward. So going into marketing and social media success, marketing played a huge role in the success of this campaign. We made sure our content on social media was consistent and shared throughout the month in a way that felt engaging and intentional. To build momentum, we launched two giveaways that really resonated with our community. One was a raffle for new library card holders with the Kindle Paperwhite as the prize. The other was a cozy book lovers basket that patrons could win by interacting with us on social media, so commenting, liking, or sharing posts. Behind the scenes, I used Metricool to schedule all our content, monitor engagement, and track what was performing well. I believe you can do this through Meta as well. They have a Meta Business Suite. It helped us stay organized and responsive in real time, especially if you're like me and often I'm forgetful. It was nice to plan my post ahead of time so I wouldn't have to worry about it the day of. Let's see. So I want to point out that marketing, outreach, and partnerships worked really well together. As a result, we saw the highest number of new library cards created in any month of the past year. There was 11.87% increase over September 2023 and a 17.65% jump from the previous month, August 2024. And on social media, we saw real growth. Facebook content interactions increased by 25%, and our follower count nearly doubled. Instagram was even more exciting. We increased our reach by over 250%, our views by 138%, and saw major boost in both interaction and follower growth. These results showed us something important. When you pair creative, consistent messaging with real community engagement, people will respond. So just some tips for growing your library's social media, if this is something that of an area of interest for you guys. First thing would be is to be consistent. Tools like Metricool or even Meta Business Suite can help you schedule and stay on track. Know your audience. Check your stats to see what's working and post more of that. Show personality. You don't have to be overly polished. People respond to authenticity. Collaborate with artists, businesses, and staff. Fresh voices equals fresh content. An easy way to do this is through reposting on Facebook and Instagram stories. For example, I recently have partnered with a bar right next to the library called the Rookery, and we're doing weekly trivia. Well, they posted on their social media, and an easy way that we can engage with that business and the patrons that view their business's Instagram is just by reposting what they posted on our Instagram story. Keep engagement easy. Giveaways, polls, and questions people can answer in a few seconds performs really well. It may even just be making sure you're responding to patrons' comments or reposting their pictures on the library's social media accounts. Again, going back to Instagram stories, so we recently opened a new branch in Carborough, and a lot of patrons were posting pictures of the new branch. It's a beautiful space, and then tagging us on Instagram. Easy thing you can do to engage with those patrons is repost that on your Instagram story. I would also suggest documenting the everyday. This picture I took just walking into the library after I think a lunch break. And how cute is that? It's a awesome picture for us. And of course I asked the patron's mom if I could take a picture. But it was a really organic and just capturing the everyday. And I think it's a great picture. And that's something I would recommend to you guys too, is take a picture of someone reading by the window or a staff member restocking books. I think it can go a long way in showing the everyday of the library that patrons don't get to see as often as we do as librarians. So not only was I able to connect with the community and focus on external factors, this campaign also brought our staff together in a new way, and I was able to connect internally as well. So across divisions and locations, we collaborated on themed programs and promotional efforts. We had a themed library story time, a bookmark design competition for all ages, and that gave younger patrons and adults the opportunity to get creative and engage with the campaign. We offered behind the scene library tours led by the Adult Services Division. We had one-on-one sessions with patrons who wanted to learn more about how to use online resources such as NC Live or Hoopla. We gave free replacement library cards. Usually they cost $1 to replace, but we waived that fee for the entire month of September. And all of these efforts came from different divisions, and everyone collaborated or offered creative ideas within their division. And it was all connected within a shared similar goal. And I think that's what made part of this campaign feel so special. It wasn't just outreach, which is important, or marketing. It was a library wide movement, and we were able to engage different areas of the population and different staff members too who may not have had a hand in programming before give that experience. And it was a very successful campaign in that way. So here are some key takeaways just to share with you guys. You can absolutely reimagine a traditional campaign into something that's more engaging and more impactful. I'm super thankful for Terry, who came up to me and was like, hey, I want to do something fun again this year, but can we please do something different than what we did last year? And I was like, okay. And so trying to think about that. And then it just grew and evolved as our planning process went on, and even within the month of September itself. Think beyond standard partnerships, reach out to gyms, the brewery, the ice cream shop. You'd be surprised who says yes and the amount of people that you can access in this way. Something else that I think is really impactful that we have been doing with the town of Carborough is Carborough in Motion, where we actually go out into apartment complexes, and it's a Saturday out of the month, and we are there and we give out resources, and it's so people don't have to drive or get out any other way. They can just step outside of their apartment and there we are. So just unique ways of thinking about how to reach different populations. Don't be afraid to take your outreach on the road. All you need is a table, a cart, and some stickers, and that can go a long way. Marketing is outreach. When you're consistent and creative, you can build trust and visibility. Collaborations across divisions strengthen your library from the inside out. And lastly, track your results. Numbers help tell your story, make your case for resources, and plan smarter next time. All right, it looks like we're done a little bit early. Sorry, Trina. Does anyone have any questions? If not, that's okay. So the next slide, I actually include my email. So if you have any questions that you think about later, or if you want to connect in any way, please send me an email. I am happy to help. This is a job that I was fairly new at, and this whole campaign was something I never done before. And so it was a lot, but I learned a lot, I guess is what I'm saying. And so if you ever think of anything and you're like, Caroline, how do I get something like this started? Please feel free to reach out. I'd love to help.
And Caroline, we do have a couple of questions that just popped up in the chat.
Okay, great.
When you go out in the community, can you sign people up, or do they need to go to the library?
Great question. So we actually have library card sign up forms. All I ask is that adults bring, if they want a library card, to show me their ID. And then what I do is have them fill out that form. And then I give them a library card, but it's not activated until I get back to the library. So I will collect the forms and then give them to our circ manager. She'll put them in, and then their library card, I usually tell them, will be activated within the next 24 hours.
You and somebody is asking if you could let us know again, where was it that you purchased your stickers?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Vistaprint, Vista print. And then I think it's called Sticker Invasion. That is another newer company that I've tried, but I've had great luck and success with Vistaprint.
And one more just came in. How do you do outreach for unhoused individuals?
Great question. This is something that we are trying to think about as a library, how we reach unhoused individuals. I think the best thing to do is to be present and to know where they're at. A lot of times I've found that if you want to help, you have to go with any part of the population where they are. And so my advice would be maybe reach out to your local unhoused shelter or organizations that work primarily with those who are unhoused and see how you can build a partnership together. Another thing is to, just as I said, bring your wagon and your outreach to those shelters or to those organizations, and offer library resources or outreach in that way.
Another question. What did you have to do to get approved to waive the $1 replacement card fee? And was it an easy sell or did it take some persuasion?
Actually, it was a pretty easy sell. My admin and my director, she's amazing. And actually was in my position before she was the director. So any ideas I come to her about, she usually is very supportive. So my advice would be to talk to your administration about that. And again, it's not for 6 months. It's not for, a year. It's just for that month. And in the end, if you're getting more results and getting more library card signups, I think that's a positive result that you could say.
Based on your experiences from asking businesses from last year, would you approach new businesses or types of businesses in a different way this upcoming year?
Great question. So I actually struggled with getting one coffee shop that I really, really, really wanted. I had called, I had stopped by, to no avail. And so I'm gonna have to start thinking creatively of on how I can reach certain businesses that I wasn't able to get in touch with. But at some point, you can only send someone so many emails and calls and knock on their door before getting too annoying, I guess. And so I think I'm gonna still have the same approach, but show our success and who we partnered with last year and say we would love to add to this list. Something else too, summer reading kickoff is coming up, and our teen librarian who's in charge of our summer reading, and we have worked together, and we were able to get over 35 organizations at this resource fair that is our kickoff. And I'm hoping a lot of those organizations that we continue to partner with will support us in this coming up year. And so just continuing growing our partnerships in that way. I answered your question. Sorry.
One other question just popped up. Do you ever have other departments or coworkers join you for outreach?
Absolutely. Actually, the same teen librarian, she and I go to different outreach events together. I also tag along with one of our library employees who is bilingual. And so if I am going to a school, for example, they had their English as a second language literacy night and asked me to come, and Daniel tagged along as well and was able to provide Spanish interpretation for me. And so I often work with different employees across divisions who have helped me tremendously with outreach, and highly recommend doing that.
The last question. Does anybody else have any questions before we wrap up today? Uh, do you have partners featured on your website?
Do we have partners featured on our website? I do not believe we do. Um, I don't think we do. Usually we just offer information about our libraries, but if we do have anything partner related, it would be on our library calendar and featuring our programs that often are in collaboration with other partners.
Hey, well, once again, you can see her contact information there if you think of anything after we're wrapped up today. Do want to thank Carolyn again for today's presentation, and thank you all for participating and joining us in this session. This does conclude the virtual day of the 2025 NC Live Annual Conference. Please do keep an eye out for the annual conference feedback survey that you'll be receiving soon. Your feedback will help us make the annual conference even better in the future. So please do take a few minutes to let us know what you think. And if you do fill out that survey, you can be entered into a drawing for a raffle prize. The recordings from the in-person day and the virtual day will all be available on the NC Live YouTube channel very soon, so keep an eye out for that. So if you registered for either day, you will automatically receive a link to all those recordings. Thank you again for joining.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Trina. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.